Right, Kimberly, welcome to the Easy Conversations podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for
Really,
having me.
yeah, no, I'm excited that you're here. Looking forward to our conversation. Your story is really powerful, and I think I really appreciate why you want to share it. We had an opportunity to talk about that, and there's so much meaning that people can get from how you've been able to navigate some of the different challenges you've had to overcome in your life. But before we jump into all of that, I do want to give you an opportunity to share with the listeners a little bit about yourself and what's brought you here today.
Okay, I'm Kimberly, the Lucky Girl CEO, where you can find me at on TikTok and Instagram. I'm here to share my story from trauma to triumph. Yeah, I'm ready to dive in.
All right, let's start with the trauma because I know it started early for you since childhood.
Yes, I
You're
was
able to shed
adopted.
some light.
So
Yeah,
ever since I came into awareness, it's been things I had to overcome and battle. Yes.
yeah. So, one of the things you shared with me was you were adopted, which impacted how you viewed relationships. And obviously, that even resulted in some of the choices you made in your adult life when it comes to relationships. But what about being adopted impacted you so much? What was that experience like for you?
The biggest impact was that I really never felt a part of the game. I never was around people that looked like me. I was always It was always awkward. I was always ostracized. How did it impact me? I was a huge people pleaser. And that's something I had to learn too later on is that I could not please people into appreciating me. People please them into appreciating me. If Yeah, that's what impacted me more. Yeah, that's all I have for that one.
Yeah. Let's dive into it a bit more because that people pleasing can be really tricky too, right? So, it's obviously a coping mechanism, right?
Sure.
And you're sharing that at times you didn't feel like you belong. Now, what about the people pleasing was helping you fit in? There was obviously serving you in a way that it kept.
It bought me a little more time to hang around without being, I don't want to keep saying ostracized, but
Mhm.
it allowed me a little more time to hang around everybody and be accepted. Yeah, I used to take and I did that up until recently where I would be just extra giving and like just the most I would always want to serve and do things for people.
Mhm.
Over giving even when I didn't have it, didn't have the energy to give, the resources just to be accepted in the area. Yeah.
Yeah, and not to jump ahead too far, but what's shifted? Because for a lot of people, even when I'm working with people, the struggle is around getting over this notion that by taking care of myself, I'm not being selfish. It's the right thing to do because if I can fill my cup, I have more to
I
give.
think it's selfish over giving because you're doing it for a reason. Taking care of yourself and putting yourself first allows you to fill your cup up, fill your cup up enough to have that overpour and overflow to be able to extend to others. So I
Yeah.
feel like being selfish is putting other people before you.
Yeah. And this is where I think a lot of people get shocked when I say this because it's a form of control. By managing your own
Yes.
image, you're trying to
Yes.
control the situation around you. And to your point, it can be considered selfish, but it can also be a form of control. And for a lot of people who feel like their lives are out of control, that's the one thing they can control how people perceive me. And that's where that people pleasing can be such a slow.
Until it gets out of control and then you're overextended and now you're going haywire. Yes.
Yeah. And it
Correct.
comes from a place of shame. And what I'm hearing from you is that shame started early, right? The feelings of not belonging or not feeling good enough. How have you been able to recognize that to begin with and then work on it?
Because it doesn't work.
Mm.
And it's only short. And then I think people catch on to what you're doing. So they put you up to the test and they give you more tasks and they just watch you squirm. And it just doesn't work. And you have to come to the terms like, I need to put myself first or I'm going to destroy myself.
Yeah. And one of the things you shared was that early experience of being adopted allowed you to create trauma bonds, which were then coming up
Oh, for
in your
sure.
relationships. How is that
Yes.
showing up in relationships that
Because a lot of people don't have healthy relationships with their parents. So that's an easy, quick, oh, we have that in common. Let's be friends. Like majority of people. Yeah, your parents really have to go out of their way to understand how to interact and be, because we don't come with the how to be the best parent pamphlet. So you really have to do your due diligence to find those appropriate coping mechanisms and ways to communicate with your children and build a healthy bond. So yeah, definitely. I
yeah.
majority of my friendships have been because of our lack of parenting.
Yeah, and we will touch on the impact your families continued to have in your life, but let's get into that relationship piece because that was a huge stepping stone for you as well. Now, are you able to talk about how that relationship started and then what led to the eventual breakup? And then we can move on to how
Oh,
you,
we're talking about the one with my children's father.
yeah.
So we met like in a teen club or something like that, and then everybody, my house was like home base. I was a popular kid. Everybody came over, so we started hanging out, and then I don't remember exactly how the conversation came about the parents, but obviously it came up, and we clung to each other. Even up till recently, before the big explosion, we decided after all the drama was happening, perspiring, we decided like we can't trust our families. Let's just take the kids and go. So that was the plan. He got abusive, so the plan was cut, and then I got the temper tantrum. So that's how that happened.
Mm. And so at some point you decided to end the relationship.
Yes.
What was that like moment like for you?
A relationship was ended multiple times.
Mhm.
To be honest, we were only really together. I really only known him for 1 month, and then I got pregnant with my son. And that was, I was 17, had my kid at 18. So yeah, we just started off. Neither of us were healed and even knew how to do shadow work or to work on ourselves.
Mhm.
So there was multiple layers of leaving, but the last straw was the big explosion where the domestic violence and the sexual harassment. I just couldn't. I could not do that. Mind you, my children lost their aunt, his sister, my sister, to domestic violence. So I could not let that. And he did that in front of my children. I had to break it off. I had to do what's best.
Yeah. And that could be a very difficult process for many people for many reasons. I'm sure you
Yes.
appreciate that too. There's fear around being alone, there's fear around dealing with the financial side of it, there's
Right.
fear around dealing with the legal
Yes. And
side.
we were homeless and
Yeah.
he was trying to find us. It was a lot. It wasn't just I left and it was over. Like he had a mental break and it was 2 years of torture. But I fought through it and now me and my children are doing excellent.
Mhm. Are you able to talk about those 2 years? Because a lot of it was something that you had to figure out on your own, especially being
Right.
homeless. How did you navigate all of that?
Being spiritual,
Mm.
I always, since I always felt alone being adopted and things like that, I knew how to have the relationship with myself. So it definitely got stronger at that point. And up to that point, I was already going to counseling. I was already paying for mentors and working on my mental state. So I had a good foundation going in. But yeah, we were homeless. We had to hop house to house, facility to facility. Everywhere I went, he would follow me, find me. He would destroy the people's property that were trying to help me. So he was isolating me because nobody wanted to be involved. He even teamed up with my family that raised me, not my biological, but the ones that knew me best. And they were, yeah, it was diabolical. So that, and then I had to show up for court hearings and there's no excuse. You can't miss a court hearing. They don't care about situations. If you can't handle it, then you need to give the kids up, then obviously. So I had to be strong and stand firm and show up for myself. I work best under pressure, and I feel like that is not good, but it works. So I typed up all my legal documents. I self represented. No, I went up head to toe to attorneys that have degrees that have been doing this for years of schooling, and I took home a win every time. Fast forward, I end up getting my first car, then getting my home, turning that car in, getting another car 2 months later, homeschooling my children, pulling them out, and everything's been going great so far.
And I think that's an important part to understand. But where is he now in terms
Yeah,
of?
he's in prison. He hurt somebody in his family that was underage inappropriately. So he's on a list that is very unfortunate. He's in prison for a few more years. And I don't know what's going to happen when he gets out.
And how does it make you feel when you think about he's gonna get out eventually, or the fact that he's
Oh, it's so many emotions because I know him. I understand why he's there. I understand his thought, not understand completely,
right?
but I understand his thought. I know what he went through. I begged his side of the family that constantly put in his mind that I was the problem, but I begged them to help get him mental help. So it's so unfortunate because at the end of the day, we were friends at a point. Like I
Yeah,
cared about he's still my kid's dad. Like they don't have a dad. And I had a outstanding father. Even though the living situation was toxic, he was my rock in that situation. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's sometimes I feel relief. Sometimes I feel a rush of emotions. Like I still feel like we have chords connected where I can feel what he's feeling. I can feel when he's thinking about me. Like it's a lot to handle, but I have a plethora of coping mechanisms and things I can do to self regulate my nervous system. So thank God for that.
yeah, yeah. And you touched on this idea that you were friends with him. How do you reconcile knowing what this person's capable of and where they've ended up, and knowing that you actually had a relationship? Like, how do you make sense of that, and how much of it do you take on yourself, or how much are you able to push away? Because you can't really take on that burden, right?
I can't be oblivious to it. I have his children.
Yeah.
And and hopefully he gets out and is better, has been working on himself. Because at the end of the day, I want to thank every single person that was involved,
Mm.
good, bad, neutral, because the person I am today, I literally am so grateful I went through everything, every single thing.
Yeah.
So if he came out mentally leveled, I wouldn't have an issue speaking. I don't think we could be friends again or anything beyond that. But to just keep it cordial, give him some words of encouragement because he's got to fight for the rest of his life. He's in a sticky situation
Yeah.
that I wouldn't wish on anybody.
So what I'm hearing from you is you have a level of compassion for him, despite everything. You can separate the issues from the person, and yeah,
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 because
and that can.
it's definitely mental things going on.
And coming back to navigating the legal proceedings, because I can see why it is overwhelming, not only going to court, but having to prepare documents and then speak to them. How were you able to get that courage and do all of that and even get to yourself to the point of putting the documents together?
Oh,
That
I'm a research fanatic. So the past 10 years, I've been an entrepreneur. So I just been self developing, personal development. So I already had that in me to figure it out. Then while I was going back and forth to the Friends of the Court, the building where all this is held, a lady gave me a number to an attorney, and me and that attorney built a really good relationship. So I was able to go to her and let her review my documents, and she would tell me, no, too much emotion, take this out. I would go back home, retype, and send it in. It wouldn't be perfect, obviously, but I won.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. But you touched on being spiritual. Do you feel like people were brought into your life to help you and guide you along the
Every
way?
single person you were,
Yeah.
every single person. I don't regret anything. Like I said, if I could go and tell them thank you, but they still have egg on their face. So I get it. Like I get it. You still have to, they're going out kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
But I thank you.
And then how were you able to show up in court and, like you said, go toe to toe with these lawyers that have been doing their job for a really long time at times, right?
It was hard. It was hard. Luckily, court is due via Zoom now. So I would have my notepad on the side of me, and whatever they would say, I would jot down what they said in the response. So it already looked like I had experience, but really I'm taking notes. You can't do that in court in person. So that really helped a lot. Like I can rebuttal everything you said. And then they started the court battle with me. So I received the first documents. All I did was reply to everything.
Mm.
Looked up the big words, replied to everything, and created my rebuttal at the end.
Yeah.
So it's not really as hard. It's just the confidence you have to have and the bravery.
Yeah. And do you feel a lot of that confidence and bravery came from a place of knowing that you were speaking your truth? You weren't
Oh, definitely. You can't battle the truth with a lie. It doesn't. Oh my gosh, that alone, that right there. You don't even have to have paperwork. I'm going to keep telling the same story and it's going to always make sense. They have to go through loopholes and make it switch and change and the stuttering and that alone. Tell the
yeah,
truth, especially against people that are lying.
yeah. Well, that's powerful. And
Yes.
you said your family got involved, the family that raised you, and you shared with me before was they were helping your ex take the kids away. How have you been able to repair that relationship, and
No.
how were you able to make sense of it for yourself?
They were always jealous of me. Like I said, the household was toxic, but I had always had my dad. That was their dad. I was adopted. I was brought to the house around 6 weeks. The youngest kid that they had already there was 9. So I just came in and interrupted everything. I came and shook the table. So they always, behind his back, did little things to me, and I was tortured. So they were just jealous. And then everything really blew up once my dad died. So, like, my protection was gone, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So it was not of a shock, so much of a shock as you think it would be.
But there's still that aspect of betrayal, right?
Oh, it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt. But then it's also because I've always been me all my life. It's also flattering.
Tell
It's
me
a
more.
whole community came up against me, and I'm the last one standing with lip gloss on.
Yeah.
Like this, like
Yeah, no, that's fair.
staying
So,
humble is the hardest thing of this all.
yeah, yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, so also shared with me some of the things, the mindset that's helped you get through all of this. And some of it may sound cliche, but I really want to get into the depth of it because on the surface, being positive, staying active, the self-care, we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But how do you get to the core of it and how do you like commit to it where it's consistent? And because what I also want to explore is because when you've got, to your point, when the whole world's after you at some point, that's what it feels like. The walls are caving in. How do you believe that all these things that you're doing are the right things, and what prevents you from not giving up is what I really want to understand.
Believing that they're the right things. I'm so self in tuned and I receive messages. I'm basically told to go left and right at this point. I eat healthy. I'm just very clear when it comes to seeing the path and being spiritual. So I'm really guided. I really have a lot of protection in the esoteric realm. Don't want to sound all weird, but I'm protected and I have a great relationship with God, my own personal relationship with God. So that was pretty much all I needed. And then I've always been active. I played a lot of sports in high school. So I knew staying active and keeping my blood pumping helps with depression and mental clarity and things like that. I got really sick at 23, I think, 23 or 25, where I went to sleep Sunday night, then woke up Wednesday in the hospital. Yeah. I in my room had no phone in it. Like I was in the ICU, nobody knew what happened. I thought it was like a mental breakdown. Went home and went on this complete spiritual journey, locked my hair, went vegan. So, yeah, I just have really great discipline, inner strength, and a lot of wisdom.
And it can be tough, right? Because you hear a lot of the stories that people that believe in a higher power often experience the most adversity, but sometimes that's what allows them to get through. And that's where the tests are the hardest. I think Mike Tyson said there's no testimony without a test. So, how do you tap into that when you know there's so much adversity in that faith in God? How do you strengthen that for yourself?
Tap into it. I think rock bottom is the start, but tap into it. I've always been special. So I can't really pinpoint like the beginning. I always knew I was meant for something better, bigger, here to help. Just my life alone, looking at it from the outside in, oh, you're meant to be somebody. You're meant to do something and make a change in this world. So
Yeah.
I can't really give you a starting point,
Yeah.
but listen to your intuition. That's God talking to you. Just listen to your intuition, follow it, and it can't lead you in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of building yourself up, you say you've got a home, you're homeschooling your kids. How were you able to get from that rock bottom to where you are today? What did it take? What were things that you did to get to where you are today?
Waking up every day and taking the initiative to take that next step. I don't waddle in anything. Everything is my fault because I could have maneuvered differently. Everything is accountability. That's my middle name. Self care, taking care of myself. Because if I don't take care of myself, then how in the hell I'm going to take care of these kids? What else? Knowing everything happens for you and not to you. There is a purpose in there, purpose in this. And once you get over that bridge, you'll see why it was meant to be and why it's all worth it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Are you able to walk us through that process? Because did you have to go back to school? Did you have to find a job, work?
Oh no. Not to be against school. I think school is very important, especially when you have to go get a license for something.
Yeah,
But I can look up the textbooks that somebody in college is going to study, and then now I have them, and now I can study each lesson, each chapter deeper than what the textbook actually has, and I can. Yeah. So I'm just a research. The only reason why I have this TV is because me and my kids watch YouTube lessons on here. Like I didn't have a TV in my room for a while. I have a mini library right there. I research for fun. I get lost in the rabbit hole of the suggestion box on YouTube.
hmm,
So just research, constantly feeding your intellect.
which has allowed you to become an entrepreneur. So, are you able to speak more about the type of work you're doing? How are you
Oh
moving
yeah,
from?
now I'm a life coach.
Mhm.
So everything that I've accomplished, I'm going to help somebody else get through it. And we start off with changing your habits, upgrading your habits, and then we go from there. I see where you're struggling. I break down a personalized list of things to do per se, give it to you. I work with you for the amount of time that we schedule for. And yeah, I help people change their lives. But before I was in marketing, so I did the same thing, but on a more high ticket scale. I work with business owners and we created marketing strategies and ways to expand their business. So I basically listen to business people that have businesses, their problems, and then I make creative solutions.
Yeah.
So I've always been in the same route of just helping people and making things better and then using my creativity.
Mhm. And it's showing up now based in the work you're doing individually with people, which I think is great. Now, one of the things I asked you before, and I really loved your response, was why is it so important for you to share your story? Because
Right.
can and then I do want to follow up with that, but yeah, why is it important for you to share your story? And
Right. Because like I mentioned, I want to humanize myself. From the outside looking in, you thought I was lying, robbing a bank, or you wouldn't believe I came from where I came from and I'm ending up where I am now. So I want to share my story, humanize myself, also open myself up to build relationships with the people I am reaching out to help.
yeah, yeah, and I appreciate that. I think that's really important because to your point, looking from the outside in, it's hard to believe at times. But the most important thing, what I'm hearing from you is it doesn't matter whether people believe it or not, because the biggest thing is you believe in yourself. And
For sure.
that's what will get you through a lot of this, which leads me to my next question, because I see so many people that I'm often working with too. They feel stuck in their relationships. They're scared. They don't know where to start. They don't want know where to go. And sometimes it's simplifying the decision. Maybe it's taking that one small step and not having to make the entire decision all at once. But what would you have to offer to these people who are so scared? Sometimes they don't even realize. I use the frog in the boiling water analogy, where if you put the frog in hot water, it'll jump out. But if you put it in normal water and you slowly dial up the temperature, it will eventually die, but it won't notice the water temperatures going up. And that's where a lot of people I find are stuck, because they don't even realize how the temperature's been just going for a really long time.
Red flags are red for a reason.
Mm.
The person that's for you wouldn't treat your love as a maybe. They would be all in, 100% sure. You might let the first two or three strikes slide, but once you know it's not for you, you have to make the decision, the executive decision to move forward. You guys are brought to each other to learn a certain thing or two, and be grateful that. Don't leave before you have any malice in your heart for that person. I'm just going through a situation like that now where I had to back up. But I appreciate that person so much because I learned my lesson, my test that I was given, I passed it. So I'm able to, once we do speak again, I will share that with them. You, your subconscious is telling you, it's screaming at you every night when you're laying in the bed with your eyes, like you can't sleep because you know this isn't it. It's leading down the wrong path. Like I tell my children, we're in this shit and we're going a certain direction. And anybody else that we bring in this ship is also a ship that's going to connect to ours. So if they're not going in our direction, they're going to slow us down. And it's just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And to know that your ship is getting slowed down or you're going in the opposite
Right.
direction is huge. But further to that, I really appreciate what you shared because that's really helped me too. Is people do come into our lives to serve a purpose. They're our biggest teachers. And sometimes when the lesson is over, it's time to move on. And unfortunately, many of us remain stuck for a while. So it's recognizing that for sure. Now, a lot has happened. How has your relationship evolved with your children? Because the other thing you touched on earlier was those healthy connections that we need from our parental figures. What have you learned from your childhood that you're now applying in your role as a parent?
Listen to your kids, ask them questions, wait for the answer. Let them know if they don't have an answer that they can come back with one. Help them formulate it. I remember a lot of times I just wasn't able to speak out as a kid and I wasn't understood. Now, with me doing the personal development I'm doing and being able to replace words and help them with their feelings, they can come to me. They can even, I even tell them, like, okay, because I do a lot, obviously. When you need me to snap out of it, snap out of CEO mode and go in mom mode, you're grab my face. I need you as mom right now. Like they have full range to do that, to snap me out of it. But when they need me for how they need me, I have to show up for that. And communication is enormous.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing from you is that keeping that and giving them that permission to keep that line open where they can voice what they want, but then also feel free to challenge you when they feel like they're not getting
For
it.
sure. Because we're all human. No one's perfect. For
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing you touched on was the hardest thing is to stay humble. But ultimately, it is important to stay humble because that's what gets us through. And I think that only strengthens our relationship with God, whether we believe in
Right.
God or not. In general, I think humility is crucial in life. How do you stay humble considering where you were and what you've been able to accomplish and not get so high on your
Right.
achievements?
Because everyone I run into, even if they're under me or not, I was them before.
Mm,
And anybody I run into that's over me or not, I'm going to be in that position. So we're all the same. Being humble keeps you down to earth
right.
and it keeps you relatable. I'm starting to go on TikTok live now. It's really fun. It's my second thing. But people were commenting that they can tell like that I'm humble and down to earth. So I took that as a compliment
Mhm.
because I want to be, I'm no better. I'm here to make it better.
Yeah. But I think often people that are insecure themselves will look
Oh,
at confidence and say you're not being humble. How do you for yourself discern that line between confidence and arrogance? And how do you find that difference for yourself?
there's a way to explain it. I'm trying to find it because arrogance, I think, is appropriate at times.
Mm,
I had someone tell me that I needed to, in so many words, be humble. But I knew in my core that they were coming from a place of jealousy and intimidation. So arrogance came right up. You can't humble me. Like I already know you can't. That tactic isn't right game, wrong player.
mhm,
So I think that's when arrogance is appropriate.
Mm,
Well, I always come humble. I am a lot of people's safe space. I don't use what you told me against you. I am very careful with my words when I know you're sensitive in certain areas and
mhm.
I'm here to correct you or lift you up.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with dealing with arrogancy, but I know how to pull it out when it's necessary, for
right.
sure.
Yeah. But you're also very confident, right? So that can often trigger other people who
Yeah.
are insecure, but you're unapologetically confident, right? And where do you think you get that from?
You heard what I've been through?
Yeah.
I've been in front of a judge. I've made a judge apologize to me because once everybody's targeting you, you look like the bad guy when somebody doesn't know the background of the story. So you have to like, all the evidence shows that I'm defending myself. All the evidence shows that this is a criminal and a not so nice person I'm going up against. Remember that. So it's everything I've been through.
Mhm.
You can't tell me anything. I'm coachable. I'm a coach. You can tell me stuff, but when it comes to me and how I know I can provide what I can provide to anything, you yeah, I'd rather hear thank you than to tell me about myself. Just say thank you.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that. So what's next for you? Where do you see things going now from here?
Oh,
Obviously,
it's up. I'm going to get better at speaking. I'm not going to be so nervous on podcasts. I'm going to keep motivating people, keep coming out with content. Following my social medias will be a great thing for people. I'm constantly pouring myself. I'm dedicating myself. I don't date. I don't hang out. I'm basically like a nun at this point. Like just a AI figure. I'm just here motivating.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm just going to take this to the top.
right.
This will not
And
be
you're
the only
obviously,
screen I'm seen on.
yeah, and you're committing yourself to it absolutely. And you have a story to share, and you have a
Yes.
lot of wisdom to pass on, and that's amazing. And thank you so much, Kimberly, for this conversation. I
No, thank
really,
you for having me.
yeah, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate everything you're bringing forward. And like I said, that confidence, I hope people can learn from that, especially through your own experience. Now, for listeners that do want to find you online and find your work, what are some ways they can do that?
Well, you can type my name in, Kimberly Dorsey,
Mhm.
or you can type in Lucky Girl CEO and I'll pop up.
All
I
right.
just revamped my Twitter. So now I'm on Twitter a little bit, but mostly Instagram. And then I trickle into TikTok.
Yeah. Well, it's X now. It's not Twitter.
Oh, I showed my age.
Yeah.
X.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. We'll put all of that in the show notes, but thank you again. I appreciate your time today.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you.